The rain came down in cold sheets across the midnight highway. Headlights cut through the darkness, throwing silver streaks over the wet asphalt. Inside the old hauler truck, the heater wheezed faintly, fighting to keep up. Jack Rains kept one hand on the wheel and the other tight around his thermos of black coffee. His face was roughened by years of long-haul driving, eyes sharp but tired beneath a faded ball cap. The cargo behind him hummed softly, a locked containment pod the size of a coffin. He hadn't asked questions when they paid him to drive it. The job was simple: get the crate to Outpost 47 by dawn. No stops. No delays. No opening the pod. The men who'd hired him had worn suits too sharp and smiles too cold. Corporate types. He didn't like them, but work was work. But when the pod moved an hour ago, shuddering like something alive inside, it set every hair on Jack's neck standing straight up. Now, as thunder rolled, he glanced back at the rear-view mirror. The pod's light was flickering red. Then came a faint tapping. He swore under his breath and pulled the truck onto the shoulder. Rain hammered the roof as he climbed out and rounded the back. The padlock glowed blue with biometric encryption. He hesitated only a moment before swiping his multi-tool through the seam. Sparks danced. The lock hissed open. Inside, huddled in a metallic cocoon, was not cargo. It was a girl. Her skin was pale violet, her hair like strands of silver glass. She blinked up at him with terrified golden eyes. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling. "Don't send me back. They said I'd be dissected alive." Jack froze. The rain washed down his face as her words sank in. He looked back at the dark highway, then at her trembling form. "Hell," he muttered. "What did I just get myself into?" He helped her climb into the passenger seat. She was barefoot, wearing a torn hospital gown and metal cuffs on her wrists. "Name?" he asked, pulling the truck back onto the road. "Lyra," she said softly. "From Talreen, or what's left of it." Jack frowned. He'd heard of Talreen, one of the colony worlds destroyed after a rebellion. The corporations had called it a containment operation, but everyone else called it what it was, a massacre. "They told me I was sick," Lyra said, voice shaking. "They said they'd cure me. Instead, they took my blood. They said humans needed it to fight something called the Reaper virus." Jack's grip on the wheel tightened. "You're saying they've been using your people as lab rats?" Lyra nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek. "When I escaped, they caught me again. That's when they put me in that pod. They said I'd be returned for processing." Jack's jaw set like iron. "Processing," he muttered, his tone bitter. "That's just their word for murder." He looked at the GPS on the dash. Outpost 47 was still 3 hours away. That meant 3 hours before corporate security realized their precious specimen was missing. "You got anywhere safe to go, kid?" She shook her head slowly. "My colony's gone. My people are gone. I thought death would be mercy." Jack glanced at her, so small and fragile, yet still holding herself with a strange, quiet dignity. Something twisted in his chest. "Well," he said, taking a deep breath, "then you're riding with me now." 2 hours later, the night exploded in blue light. Jack saw the drones first, black corporate interceptors slicing through the rain, lights flashing across the horizon. His dashboard screamed with a tracking alert. "They've tagged the truck." Lyra gasped. Jack slammed his hand down on the emergency switch. "Hold on." The hauler veered off the main highway, crashing through a fence and into the dense woods. Branches scraped the windshield like claws. Lyra clung to her seat as Jack wrestled the wheel through the mud and shadows. Behind them, the drones shrieked and fired bursts of plasma into the trees. Bolts seared the air. One grazed the back of the truck, sending sparks flying. Jack killed the headlights and coasted into a narrow ravine, breathing hard. Steam hissed from the engine. "You all right?" he asked. Lyra nodded weakly. Her skin shimmered faintly, the blue light of bioluminescence pulsing under her collarbones. "What's that?" Jack asked. She hesitated. "My kind can emit energy fields. Healing, light, warmth, it's our defense. But it drains us." Jack's eyes softened. "Well, maybe save it for when we really need it, huh?" They sat in silence, the rain easing to a whisper. The forest smelled of wet earth and ozone. For a long moment, Jack just watched her, how her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dark. She looked so tired. "Why are you helping me?" she finally asked. "You could have turned me in and earned a fortune." Jack looked away. "Because I've done enough driving for men who think people are cargo." He reached into the glove compartment and pulled out an old hollow photo. A smiling woman and a boy stood beside him. Long gone now. "My son got sick when the Reaper hit. Court medicine said they couldn't help him. Later, I found out they had the cure. They just wouldn't sell it to anyone poor." He sighed. "So, no, I'm not giving you to them. Not ever." Lyra's hand trembled as she reached across and touched his. Her fingers were warm, softer than he expected. "Then I'll help you too, Jack Rains. I swear it." Dawn crept over the horizon by the time they reached the old freight tunnel outside New Denver. The structure had been sealed off decades ago, now a ghost road beneath the city. Jack parked inside the shadow of the tunnel mouth. "This is it," he said. "If we can make it through, there's a smuggler's port under the river. They can get you off-world." Lyra looked uncertain. "And you?" "I'll get you to the gate," he said. "After that, I'll figure something out." Before she could reply, a deafening blast echoed through the tunnel. A hovercraft roared into view behind them, engines glowing red. Corporate soldiers in black armor spilled out, weapons raised. Jack cursed. "Go. Run." Lyra's eyes flared as energy rippled across her skin. Jack grabbed his shotgun from the rack and stepped out into the open. Plasma bolts ripped through the air. He fired back, dropping one soldier. "Jack!" Lyra cried. He turned and saw a blast streaking straight for her. Without thinking, he dove in front of it. The plasma hit his chest, throwing him backward. Pain seared through him like liquid fire. "Jack!" she screamed, crawling to him. His shirt was scorched, blood soaking through. He coughed, forcing a smile. "Guess, I'm not as fast as I used to be." Tears streamed down her cheeks as she pressed her glowing hands over the wound. Light spread through his body, warm, brilliant, alive. His breathing steadied. The pain faded to a dull ache. "I told you," she whispered, voice breaking. "I can heal." He stared up at her in awe. "You're incredible." Behind them, the hovercraft's engines roared again. Lyra rose to her feet, fury blazing in her golden eyes. "No more cages," she said. She lifted her hands. A surge of energy burst outward, pure, blinding light that swept through the tunnel like a wave. The soldiers screamed as their armor shorted out and their drones crashed in sparks. When the glow faded, silence reigned. Jack pushed himself up, stunned. "Remind me never to piss you off." She smiled weakly, helping him to his feet. They limped together toward the far exit. By the time the sun rose, the smuggler's port was in sight, a ring of old cargo ships hidden beneath the rusting docks. Jack leaned against a railing, catching his breath. "You'll be safe there," he said. "They'll take you somewhere far away." Lyra turned to him, eyes shimmering. "Come with me. Please. You've already lost too much because of them." He looked out at the river, at the golden light dancing on the water. "Someone's got to stay behind," he said softly. Make sure others like you have a chance. She reached up and pressed her forehead against his. Then take this, she whispered. So you'll never forget. A soft pulse of light passed between them. Jack felt warmth flood his chest, a faint glow beneath his skin. What is it? He asked. A piece of my life force, she said. It will guide you when you're lost. He nodded, trying to hide the lump in his throat. You're something else, Lyra. As she boarded the ship, she turned back one last time. Goodbye, Jack Rains. May your roads always lead to light. The engines hummed, lifting her vessel into the pale dawn sky. Jack stood watching until it vanished among the clouds. Then he looked down at his hands, where a faint golden glow still shimmered beneath the skin. He smiled, turned back to his truck, and whispered to the empty road, Guess I've got one more run to make. And this time, it wasn't for them.